Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started here. Thank you all for joining us. This is going to be another Scytec DataXchange webinar. Today's is the vision of machine monitoring, how to view data exchange on your shop floor, where we are going to be going over some of the viewing options as well as some tips and tricks about how to get the most out of your data exchange machine monitoring. So the first thing that I'm going to discuss, and this is going to be somewhat known to some of you, but ways to view Scytec DataXchange. And you can view data exchange on a Windows desktop or laptop, smart tablets that are iOS or Android based, iPhone and Android phones, as well as televisions. Now, next, what I'm going to discuss is where you can find everything in terms of downloads. The desktop version of DataXchange, the easiest way to find that is on the main Scytec.com website. And at the very top left, you can see the Getting Data Exchange tab. And at the bottom of that is the Install Data Exchange Now, which that will be then sent to wherever you have your browser downloads located. And from there, if you click on that Install Data Exchange Now, it will download automatically, and you can then enter in your account and credentials and access data exchange. You can also find the desktop version of Data Exchange at dx.scytec.com, which is a landing page that has just about everything on it that you will need to download. In the top right corner, you will see the client install, as well as in the center, a image of where you can download the client install as well. Data Display, the browser-based reporting tool for your machine monitoring needs, can also be accessed here as well as the mobile application downloads. So regardless if you're using an iOS phone or tablet or an Android, both versions are available on this landing page. If you click on the blue boxes underneath them, you could be greeted with a area where you can download either version for iOS or Android. You can also find these on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store for both the ODI and Data Display reporting applications. ODI also has a Windows desktop application that can only be found on the Windows Store. The ODI application is only available currently on iOS devices such as the iPad and iPhone, with no current support for Mac desktops. Next, I will be going over some display tips and techniques, starting off first with data display. And something that a lot of you may or may not know is that with data display, the timeline chart has the ability to zoom in, and you can grab a selected area of time in the timeline chart and drag inwards to see the most minute details of your shop floor equipment statuses. And I'm going to show you a quick little video about how you could do that here. So inside of the timeline chart, you can grab a selected highlighted area of time, and then that'll zoom in closer to get really some detailed information about the machine statuses that you have selected for a given period of time. Next, I'm going to go over some kind of recommendations for the real-time dashboards that are inside of the data display application. For the real-time equipment view, due to its graphical size, we recommend viewing that on a television or a computer due to the amount of visual data items that can be presented. And for the real-time equipment list, we recommend here at Scytec that you view that on a phone, due to you may not be around a TV. You might be operating in a cell that is kind of further away from the ability to see something on a TV. So we recommend that the real-time list is something that you have on your phone. It shows the same information that you get with the real-time equipment view, but in a more streamlined manner, like what you see over there with that image on the right. Now, the ability to view data display on a TV is very easy via a mini PC that you can get for under $200 off of Amazon. And what we are looking at here is a 8 gigabyte model for a Melee mini PC that is fanless. There are options that you can get that are below that have 4 gigabytes, but due to the operating size of the Windows operating system, we recommend the 8 gigabyte model because it'll just kind of make things a little bit faster. And we also recommend the fanless model because the ones with fans can get clogged with some of the stuff that is kind of out floating around in your shop floor, those particles. And other mini PCs will work too. You're not obligated to get this one from Melee, but it's just the one that we recommend here at Scytec. Now, I wanted to show you a few images of what this kind of looks like with the real-time dashboards that some of our clients use out on their shop floor. Kind of going in a counterclockwise circle, you can see some of our clients, they use them kind of hanging from a ceiling so that operators in their cells can, glance up and see what is going on inside the factory. And you can see that we have some clients that have multiple of these inside of their production facility with those arrows that are pointing out to them that show different machinery for operators operating in different cells. Now, something else that's kind of cool about data display that you may not be aware of is the ability to export a chart as an image for printing. And the displayed chart data can be exported to an image file for storage or presentation at a later date. You can access this feature by using the options selections from the customize section of the ribbon bar, that little kind of gear you see up there in that image. Once you have built out a report and it looks the way that you want it to look with all of the data items, you can select that gear, and then at the bottom you can see both 2 images, export to image as well as print, and you can get those in the usual sizes that you would print out a document, such as a letter, legal, tabloid, A3 to A5. And we have clients that use these for, their production meetings to print them out and talk about, and you can also print these out and do your Gemba walks with and discuss whatever period of times metrics that you are, going over for your production meeting or Gemba walk. Next, we are going to go over some recommendations for the operator display interface, ODI tablet. And at Scytec, we recommend having your ODI set up to the equipment overlay view kind of as a standard. And you can do that very easily with the setup options. I had a webinar about this kind of recently where you can have your operators looking at what you're seeing over there on the left, which is the equipment overlay view, which, if you're operating inside of a cell, you can see all the machinery and their statuses, part numbers, the parts per hour, work orders, things like that. And there also is an ability to have the ODI set to flash once a machine's status has crossed a certain threshold. For example, you could have a machine that has been in an unknown downtime for longer than a half hour. Once it crosses that 29th minute and 59th second, that machine square that you will see like a grinder or that Haas in that image will start to flash, alerting the operator to let them know that something needs to be attended to on the machine. Now, how we recommend mounting your ODI tablets, you can either do that via a floor stand, which you can see over there in the bottom right and next to that Haas machine in the top right. We also have clients that put heavy-duty magnets on the enclosures that you can see there in the center, like the DMG machine over there on the left, where they will mount an ODI tablet to the machine via magnets so that it stays protected and off the floor, and so that you don't have to worry about tripping over it or anything if your production area is kind of cramped. Now, the majority of what I'm going to be discussing here today in terms of viewing options are going to be relegated to what you can find in the RTV real-time viewer. So what I'm going to discuss here first is the shop floor layout, and this is one of the coolest things inside of DataXchange that you can find, that you can design in the desktop application and then also view inside of the data display reporting tool. Soon we will have the desktop designer available inside of the browser-based reporting tool, but for right now that can only be found in the desktop version. And the shop floor layout is a designer that can use an uploaded image of your choosing of your shop floor, or even just a blank canvas, And then you can have text labels and color status indicators that can be overlaid on the image in the RTV. The labels will then update as new data comes into DataXchange, and the indicators will update with colors based on their machine status in DataXchange. So going in counterclockwise, you can see that image up at the top of the two machines. There's a Mori and an Akuma with a color overlaid on them. That color represents the current machine status that the machine is in. So that Mori machine has been in a normal cycle. It just started. And that Akuma has been in an unknown downtime for about a half hour. That is the side-by-side view. Right below that is what we recommend here, the kind of the best viewing option for the shop floor layout, which is a top-down view of your shop floor. And you can see all of the different machine statuses, including unplanned downtimes, planned downtimes, in cycle, etc., for the machines. And the best viewing for this is whatever device that is going to be displaying your shop floor layout, you need to have your imported image in that. So if you have a TV that is 1080p, you're going to want your shop floor template to be in 1920 by 1080. And I'm going to be showing you guys here in a minute how you can design all this. But first, I'm going to kind of go over a few other things and verbally describe how you can set this up and then visually show you it. So you don't even need to have a template of, like a top-down view of your shop floor. You can just import a blank image, and then you can set things up kind of how you would like to, very basically with just kind of the machines and their statuses, and you can have those either in squares or circles. And the data parameters that you can have inside of your shop floor layout is no different than any of the other data items for the things that are pulled off your machines inside of DataXchange, including general and specific equipment statuses, their durations, ideal setup times, actual setup times, utilization percentages, parts per hour, scrap part counts, etc. There is a plethora of things that you can pull off your machines and then have displayed via your shop floor layouts. Now I'm going to describe how you can design your shop floor layout. So first, you're going to go into your RTV in the desktop version. You're going to go to the Add and Modify Screens button. There is group screens as well as your own personal screens. The image at the top right there is the group screens, where you can find the Add or Modify Screens selection. You will then add a new RTV screen, enter the name, and then assign a view that is called the shop floor layout. And to configure that view, you will use the Browse button to upload an image from a source file. The most image, as I described earlier, is a top-down wireframed image of your shop floor, but you can really use anything. You can use any PNG or JPEG that you want to import in there. And then once that image is chosen, you can select the plant as well as the machines that you want to have visually represent their statuses and the other data parameters that I showed you on that previous slide. So once you select your parameters, which you can see over there on that top right image, from there you will describe what font size, the status symbol. We usually recommend the polygon, the style, and what you want to, so if you want to have a solid overlay or a kind of like a framed hollow one. And then you can also have or dictate the transparency that is overlaid on it. And once you've done that, you will then be greeted by two boxes. And they're over there in that top right corner. The box with the number 1 is the machine parameters, the data items that you want to have selected, as well as the bounding box, which is that number 2, which you will drag over a machine. And then you will trace that machine with that color blue, which you see in the bottom left image there. And then once you have all those traced out, you will then save them, and then that'll populate inside of your RTV view. So what your shop floor layout will first look like when you upload it as what is there on the left. And once you have done all your tracings and decided your data parameters that you want pulled off of your equipment and displayed, it will look like what is over there on the right. So The colors that you are seeing on the machines are the current machine statuses. So the ones that are in green are normal cycles. You can see the machine names that are right underneath that. So we have an Akuma, a Harding, a Makino, and underneath that is the machine status time. So that Akuma has been cutting normally for 9 minutes, the Makino 24, etc. Now from here, I'm going to do a demonstration because it's just a little bit easier to show this visually as opposed to just kind of audibly describing the situation. So I'm going to play a video here and narrate everything that is going on. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to go into your DataXchange desktop application and go to the RTV. As you can see on the far left, you can see my screens and then the group screens. I'm going to be doing a group screen here because I can go to different levels of employment inside your shop floor. We are going to be adding a new RTV view. You're going to want to name this. I'm going to name this shop floor layout demo for the purpose of the webinar this morning. Give it a description, so it's a demonstration. And then from there, you're going to want to assign it to whatever group. So I'm going to have this to all DataXchange users. So this will go out to all different employment levels that I have set up. You can see the other ones that are in there that are previously defined. Next, you're going to want to assign a view. You can see all the other RTV views that you can have. We're going to scroll down to the bottom, select shop floor layout, hit enter. Now we are going to configure the view. We click on configure the view. We are going to go up to browse to select an image. We are going to select a shop floor layout template that looks like our Denver plant. So you can see all the other different plants and pieces of equipment that we had to select from that are in our DataXchange account. I'm going to define the Doosan machine as well as the parameters that I want this Doosan machine to display, which you can see over there under that parameter section. So I want to show a specific equipment status as well as the specific duration of those statuses. Next, we are going to decide the font. I'm going to select the size 30 font, the status symbol. We always recommend the polygon for tracing over an image, and whether or not you want that to be solid or a kind of framed with a hollow center. And you can see over there in the top right corner after we hit add that they will populate there. So we're going to drag our data parameters out, and we are going to show all of them by expanding that gray box and then dragging it over to a machine. Next, we are going to go get the other box, which is going to be the bounding box for our tracing that we are going to then drag over a machine all the way. Once we have that all the way over a machine, we will double click and then we will begin doing our tracing. So if you double left click, a blue line will present itself, which then you will trace over your machine. So I'm going to trace over the entire machine here. And then once you're finished tracing, you will right click, save, and you will see that the color will then be overlaid on top of it, where you can go back down to the transparency. We recommend that you kind of have your transparency set to about 40% or 50%, so you can actually kind of still see the image, what you're seeing below there, the machine. And then you're going to repeat the process for all of the machinery that you want displayed. I'm just going to do another one here real quick to kind of show you again the process of everything. Very easy to then, just kind of drag things over and then trace out your machinery. So this is going to be a Haas machine. And then once you're done, you will save that and then do that for all the other pieces of equipment that you have. And when you're done with everything, you will hit enter. Then you will save your shop floor layout. And then you can have this displayed. You can see it. It's now one of the selectable options inside of your RTV area. And you can then hit display, find your new RTV, hit display now. And then now you can see your RTV view is showing you your requested machine statuses and parameters that you had selected. So our Doosan machine is showing a low override, and it has been in that for 10 minutes. And the Haas machine has been in an unknown downtime for close to an hour and 20. So that is how you design an RTV view. Now, one of the other things that you can do inside of the RTV that I think is very interesting and very necessary for some people is the web browser view, where you can have a web page inside of an RTV view, which, so if you look over there on the right, you can see we have a equipment status downtime Pareto next to the DataXchange dx1.scytec.com landing page. And the web browser view is an internet browser embedded into DataXchange Windows client, allowing web pages to be viewed within the RTV. The web browser view is independent of browsers installed on the PC and does not use any settings from any installed browsers. Now, some common uses of the web browser include viewing an internal company website or displaying a PowerPoint presentation that has been exported to the MP4 format as one of the RTV screens, as well as you could have an employee login portal. So when your operators are clocking in, you can go right into RTV and have them log in that way. One of the other cool things you can do is also have Microsoft document views inside of the RTV, such as a Microsoft Excel or Power BI view. And I'm going to describe how you can do that here in just a second. But if you look over there on the right in that image, you can see that we have some equipment status charts in there, as well as an Excel report for, kind of showing some production metrics via, financials and stuff like that. Now, the way to do this is Microsoft files such as Excel documents can be saved to the Microsoft Cloud. DataXchange can display online Office documents in the RTV as part of the web browser view and view alongside other RTV charts. So the way that you can do this is you can save your Microsoft Office document to your OneDrive, and then you can create an RTV screen the way that I just showed you and add the web browser view. So if you remember, I showed you in that big list that you could scroll all the way to the bottom and select the shop floor layout view. There is another one called the web browser view that you do the same way. You can then open your Microsoft document using a free online Microsoft Office application. Once the document is open, you will click on the share button in the upper right, and then you will click on share with people, where you will get a link. You can see these images below here down at the bottom. Once you have that link, you can copy and paste that into the RTV screen. You also want to select the auto refresh option as well, and then it will display. So once again, this is going to be the web browser view, where you can then click on configure the view, and then under settings, you can paste in whatever link or one of those links that you get from an online Microsoft Office document, paste it in where it says that URL option. And if you're, using a static page there so that it'll populate, when data comes up, so that, nothing is out of order. And then finally, I'd like to discuss the auto login feature for RTV. So as I mentioned, you can have a web browser view with an employee login. You can set up anytime that you log into DataXchange to log in automatically for the RTV, which you can do under the user tab in the desktop version. You can go to auto login. You can set that to enabled, and then whatever default tab, you could have that set to other things, but we recommend having it set to the RTV so that you have that out on the TV on your shop floor. So what you can do over on the right, which is you can select all the RTV views that you want, and then what interval that they stay on the TV, and then we'll rotate for. So if you look over on the far right, you can see that we have our equipment status set to 15 seconds, the alarm view set to 15 seconds, a timeline view set to 30, etc. And you can change those out. You can change the orders of them. And that is how your data display or your DataXchange RTV views will be displayed on a TV out on your shop floor, and then set to rotate automatically when you log in. So that about wraps it up for everything in this morning's webinar. Where you can find out more information, we do this in every single webinar, is we have a Scytec University website that you can find at dxhelp.scytec.com, where if you see that little that little spyglass there in the center, you can type in, whatever you're having some issues with or whatever you're, looking to learn more about, and that'll populate with different FAQs, tutorials, etc. There's also a user manual, how you can define data exchange based off of roles in your shop floor, as well as specific scenarios that data exchange can help out with. We have a couple upcoming webinars as well. We normally do these on a month-to-month basis. At the end of July, we are going to be having one about the notification templates inside of Data Exchange. In August, we haven't decided a date on this yet, but as of yesterday, the full release for CNC machine connectivity, the integration between Data Exchange and Scytec Vericut was released in their 9.5 release. That includes things like the pre-check, the live streaming function, and then finally with this 9.5 release, we have the release of post-check feature. So for those of you that are using Vericut, you don't want to miss that. We're going to have some of the product specialists from Scytec on with us for that. And then at the end of September, we are going to have a post-IMTS webinar about how to get started with Data Exchange. So for those of you that are new or that are on the fence, that have been here before, you've seen some demos, we're going to be going into a very in-depth getting started Data Exchange webinar after we come back from IMTS. So we hope to see you guys out there in Chicago as well. Now from here...